purple, 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 purple-ish, purple, purple, purple. And let's add some flowers to the equation. Oh no. Oh well. Welcome to Cosplayland. I am Alice and today I'm going to show you how I made my Isabela dress. I know this is not a very typical dress like the kind of dress I usually make, but I did this for my nieces and I had to buy lots of flowers. I still have like tons of flowers around. So yeah, I made this cosplay because my nieces really like Encanto and sometimes I just like doing something fun and Disney and yeah, who doesn't like it? Plus, I am Spanish and I have all the heritage, like all the things that you see in there. They look so much like my house, which yes, it's technically not in South America, but there's like a lot of influences and really felt identified with that kind of character with slightly darker skin and just all the flowers around. And it was a great excuse just to show you my house as well, because it's beautiful and I just wanted to portray it with the pictures for this cosplay as well. Unfortunately, my nieces didn't really like the idea of dressing up with me, except for my small niece, which is adorable, and asked me to make her an Isabela cosplay as well. She's so cute. And yeah, basically it was just an adult just dressing up as a Disney character while my nieces just looked at me thinking that I was crazy. But, I mean, that happens every other day, so not even bothered about that. It was a very quick project. I basically did this cosplay in one day, the day before I was going to Spain, because sometimes you do crazy stupid things like that, so I decided that I really needed this cosplay just before I went to my holidays home last month to visit my family. So yeah, I made this cosplay in 24 hours and I'm gonna show you how crazy it was and how I actually managed to finish it on time, which is the point. So there you go, this is how I made my Isabela cosplay. First of all, I needed to cut the pieces of the dress. As usual, I will be using my own patterns for this cosplay and I will leave you a link in the description where you can download them. The base fabric for my dress was a soft satin fabric and I had to go to the living room to be able to cut the pieces because it was very big. Of course, I had my usual helpers, Kitana and Melina, but they were kind of lazy and I had to cut the fabric by myself. That's not cool, guys. That's not cool. Never mind, you're just adorable. Remember that my patterns don't have seam allowances and you will have to add them yourself. To make the dress more magical and floaty, I used a second layer of fabric. This time I used a texture chiffon, which was very lightweight and see-through. This piece was even lighter than the previous one as I had to fit the flounces for the dress as well. And off camera, I also cut the sleeves, which were yet another different type of purple fabric, or rather lavender. Here is a closer look at all the materials I used. This is the dotted tulle I used for the sleeves, the crinkle chiffon for the outer layers, some soft tulle that I didn't end up using but I used for my niece's dress, and also the satin crepe fabric, which is the base of the dress. And of course, flowers. like many flowers. I bought 2 bags of Gipper embroidered flowers and 3 bags of organza flowers as well to make them look more interesting. I think there was a total of over 800 flowers, and believe me, I would have used them all if I hadn't promised my niece I will make her a cosplay too. Finally, I used this sparkly silver ribbon for the edges, but I actually do recommend you to use bias tape instead because this gave me a little bit of trouble. Before I started assembling the pieces, I needed to flatline my bodice. Basically, you just need to place the chiffon on top of your base fabric and sew around the edges so we can use the pieces as if they were one and the same. This makes the process so much easier, as well as making the dress cohesive and adds some interest to the fabric. You want to sew this quite close to the edge, so the stitches won't be seen once you start assembling the dress. And this is how it looks when it is done. You may notice I have already closed the darts on the bodice, and this is how I did it. You just have to hold the fabric right sides together and sew the little triangles. Of course, I did forget to flatline my pieces before I did it, so I actually had to unpick these and do it again, so just remember to flatline the pieces first. And it is exactly the same process for the skirt. Once that part is also ready, I'm going to be placing the sides of the skirt on top of the back so I can also assemble it. But let's go back to the bodice. Now that you have your pieces prepared, you can just assemble them normally. I'm doing the front first, and I like matching the center of the seam first to make sure the pieces align correctly. You may need to twist your fabric a little bit in order to get the pieces together, but it shouldn't be much trouble. Once you are satisfied with the position, sew it with your machine. And right sides together, sew the sides as well. I am now going to prepare the edge of the flounces, starting with the one at the neck. As I didn't have enough bias tape for this project, I decided to use a silver ribbon for the edges. It is not the best solution, but it is a solution. You will need so many meters of ribbon or bias tape for this project, and for me the quickest way to attach it was using this bias tape foot attachment for my machine. It's very easy to find it online, and honestly, I just bought this box full of different feet for the machine, and I don't use them very often, but when I do use them, they save me a lot of time. The only edge that doesn't have ribbon on it is the one on my base skirt, and for this part I used a hemming foot. Again, these little tools are not very expensive, and if you're in a hurry or you do a lot of sewing, they will save you a lot of time. For the sleeves, it is the same process as before. Just add bias tape to the flounces. And sew the small pieces to the big ones. With right sides together, sew the flounces to the bottom of your sleeves. And for once, you have an easy sleeve to assemble. Just place the sleeve on top of your bodice and sew each side. This is how it should look once it is sewn, and I have already started attaching the flounce on the collar. Once again, you just need to sew it in place so it doesn't move. and this is perhaps the fiddliest part of the dress. I cut a notch on the center of my dress and started attaching the collar from the center. Just take your time to get it right. Also, I found it much easier starting sewing from the center outwards, even if I had to do it in two goes. For the flounces, once again, I just had to join both sides. I put them together and sew it with my machine. And once again, I added ribbon to the edges. And here you have all the flounces ready. Let's assemble them. The first layer is going to be the base skirt. On top of it, you have the same piece in chiffon. I assemble it the same way as the skirt. And next, you have the two remaining flounces. Match the fabrics at the top and sew them together. After that, you can put the skirt and the bodice together. Right sides together, place the bodice on top of your skirt and sew the waist. It is finally a single piece. And with the zipper inserted, my dress was finally wearable. Or almost wearable. Yep, my zipper was too short and the dress didn't fit my mannequin anymore. Fortunately, with a bit of difficulty, I was still able to wear it, so I decided to carry on. And it is time to add the flowers. Actually, over 500 flowers. This is going to take a while. Even if it looks like I had a lot of flowers, I decided to pin them in place first to make sure I was happy with the position before I touched them permanently. No need to say that this actually took several hours, and then I still had to go one by one and just glue them together because, believe me, I wasn't in the mood for sewing 500 flowers the day before I was flying to Spain. So, yeah, I just put them all where I needed them to be, and some of them I layered with organza at the back to make them puffier and make them look more interesting. And believe me, there is a lot of flour. A lot. This is fabric tag, which is a type of fabric glue which I've used before, and it's actually quite good, so I am hoping this will last for a while, or at least until I do the photo shoot. But before that, once again, I had to one by one unpin all the flowers and put them back again with the glue. Yeah, happy times. And this was basically the crazy journey I took to make my Isabela. I can now tell you that most of my flowers survived the trip, and if you want to see the full reveal of the cosplay, I will be posting the video in a few days, so make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see it. I hope you are having a wonderful summer, and I will be seeing you next time. Bye! Are you comfy there? Yeah? That's good. No, I'm not good at fabric. Come on.